Though this week's portion, Noach, is most famously known for the story of the ark and the flood, there is another story that is almost as famous that appears near the end of the portion in chapter 11 of Genesis, and that is the story of the Tower of Babel. This story, very brief, not more than 10 sentences, describes, according to the Torah, how the people at that time were of one language and one people, and they decide to build a tower to try to reach the heavens. God comes down, confounds their plan by automatically and all of a sudden creating a multitude of languages so that the people could not communicate with one another, and spreads the people out throughout the known world at the time. What was so bad about the Tower of Babel? Why did God need to confound that plan? According to the Midrash, that is quoted by Rashi, the great medieval commentator that lived 1,000 years ago, the intention of the people at the time to build the tower was not to highlight their own talents and technological skills, but to wage war against the gods in the heavens. And so God needed to come down to show the people who exactly is in charge of the world. It gets to a bigger question of why we have this story to begin with. It is just one of a series of stories that we have in the beginning of Genesis that explain why things are the way they are in the world. Why do women experience pain in childbirth? Because, according to the Torah, because of Eve eating of the apple from the snake. Why do men have to work hard for a living? Because of Adam eating from the apple in the Garden of Eden. Just examples of other stories that we find in the book of Genesis. The bigger issue about the Tower of Babel is a very depressing one. The idea that the intention of people, that our default position is one of evil, that we always intend to do bad rather than do good. Just look at the history of humanity and how people have united for war and for other terrible purposes, and how infrequently people unite for good. We hear more stories of people being united for bad purposes rather than good purposes. And so the story of the Tower of Babel then is just that story to explain why it is that our intention and that our intention mostly is for bad rather than good. And we have to be religious. The purpose of being Jewish or any religion in the world is try to overcome that evil inclination to try to do good. And that would there be a day that we would rally behind a Tower of Babel that would reach the heavens in order to partner with God instead of fight against God. Shabbat Shalom.